Welcome back, Baseball Goons. Today on the pod, we are going to break down the science behind sports in a way that actually makes sense. We're looking at baseball today. I am Aiden, and joining me is my co-host,
Bruce. Hey everyone, today we're diving into a topic that's changing the way baseball is played and analyzed. We're going to be talking about spin rate today. It's one of those things that casual fans might not think about, but for pitchers and analysts, it's a game changer.
Yeah, I mean, if you've ever looked at some pitchers and just wondered why some fastballs seem to have a rising effect, or why some breaking balls are just way nastier than another pitcher's, a lot of it comes down to spin rate. And thanks to new evolving technologies like TrackMan and Rapsodo, teams, analysts, scouts, everyone is able to now track the spin rate with absolute insane accuracy. And it's pretty neat just using and watching some of these devices. And they've been leading to some big changes in how pitchers are beginning to train and just pitch overall.
Before we break it down further, let's talk about what we already know. When we think about pitching, we usually focus on velocity, which is simply just how hard someone can throw the ball. But research, like studies from Kageyama in 2016, show that spin rate plays a huge role in how effective a pitch is, not just how fast it travels.
Right. And then you have the Magnus effect, right, which is how the gravity will pull on the ball as it moves through the air. And so I feel like that explains why a ball moves the way it does based on a spin. Because in Higuchi in 2013, we found that a higher spin rate on a fastball can give it that rising effect. Even though over time, because of the Magnus effect, it's really just dropping just slower than most fastballs would with a different spin rate. And we also see that with the Magnus effect, the effect on curveballs and sliders with their spin rate is normally up to down. And so we see that as the ball breaks down even more rapidly.
So today we're going to explore this topic in a fun way through quizzes, challenges, and a few surprising facts. Let's get into it.
All right, Bruce, what do you say we start this off with a little quiz? True or false? A higher spin rate always means there's going to be a faster pitch.
I feel like that should be true, but I'm going to guess there's a catch to that.
Yep, a little bit of a catch. While studies like those from Nagami in 2011 show that there is a correlation between higher spin rates and a higher velocity, it's not always a direct link to say. The way that a pitcher releases the ball, their mechanics, their body type, and even finger pressure all play a crucial role in the spin rate in the end.
So would you say that spin rate has a higher effect on velocity or creating an illusion to the hitter?
See, well, I want to say it's an illusion per se because like we found out with the Magnus effect, a ball can look like it's rising when in all reality it really is going downhill. It's just not going downhill as fast as we're used to be seeing it with the slower spin rates. And so I feel like it's really just an illusion.
That makes sense. A study in 2001 by Hoare actually found that friction between a pitcher's fingers and the ball is a major factor in spin generation. So two pitchers throwing at the same velocity might have a different spin rate just depending on their grip.
Exactly. And so while a higher spin rate can help the fastball stay on its path longer, it doesn't automatically make it a faster pitch. It's more about how the energy is transferred from the pitcher's hand to the ball, the friction, the kinetic energy, all of that. Let's do another challenge. If I told you that two curveballs, you're in the box, I'm going to throw two curveballs at you. They're going to be the exact same speed, but one of them's going to have a higher spin rate. Which one do you think you could hit?
I'm going to think the one with less spin, just because I'm guessing the one with higher spin is going to have more break, right?
Right. Exactly. I mean, according to research by Higuchi in 2013, curveballs with a higher spin rate generate more movement because of the Magnus effect. Like we talked about earlier, that's the force that makes a spinning ball curve in the air, or a spinning ball move in the air per se.
So that's why pitchers like Clayton Kershaw and Michael King can throw those ridiculous curveballs that seem to drop off a cliff.
Exactly. I mean, even if we look at, there's so many other pitchers we could really look at. But for fastballs, we kind of notice a trend where it's the opposite. A fastball with a high spin rate will stay up, like we've been kind of discussed. It just has that trend of staying up a little bit longer, and it's more of an illusion if we talked about because the backspin counteracts gravity. That's why hitters sometimes swing under a high spin fastball, just because of that rising effect. All right, so we've kind of gone over what we know and what the research has told us, but I feel like a huge part is that we don't fully understand spin rate and velocity and all that, and so I feel like there's things we need to look into to understand it more.
One big question that still remains is how environmental factors like humidity, temperature, and elevation impact spin rate, and how much that spin rate impacts the movement of the baseball. There's some research on this, but not enough to say for sure how much of a difference it makes.
That's true. Another area for future research is how increasing spin rate affects arm health. Pitchers are always trying to optimize their spin, but could that lead to more injuries in the long run? Because as we've seen the trend of back when baseball started, no one cared about spin rate, and pitchers were able to go very deep into games, like 120 pitches, and pitch the next day. But now as we are just evolving, I guess you could say, it seems that as pitchers try to focus more and more on spin rate and all that jazz, we've seen a lot more injuries in the league.
As pitchers have also focused more on velocity, we've also seen more injuries. So more research definitely needs to be done on whether it correlates more to spin rate or more to the velocity at which pitchers are throwing at. Either way, more research could help teams train pitchers in a way that improves performance without increasing injury risk.
Exactly, I agree. And another thing I think that we could continue to research on is body size, like how much one is lifting compared to how much one's wingspan is. Like, let's say a pitcher who's 5'6" can only get about 6 feet down the mound, and they're releasing it 6 feet down the mound compared to a pitcher who's about 6'5", and he's able to get 7 or 8 feet down the mound and he's releasing it out there. Does the spin rate, let's say the shorter guy has a higher spin rate, and the pitches are moving the same. Is that a possibility? Is there a difference in just where you're releasing it at that can affect the spin rate and the velocity and all that?
Definitely a great question that we need to research further.
So that brings us to our conclusion. Let's go ahead and wrap things up a little bit. So what we know is that spin rate is a major factor in pitching, affecting both velocity and movement. But it's not just about throwing harder. It's about optimizing mechanics, grip, and even finger pressure.
And while research has given us a lot of insight, there's still more to learn about environmental effects and injury risks.
Yes, that's definitely something we want to continue to dive into, as this is a topic that is definitely a little bit newer to us, and we just hope to learn the most that we can. Well, Bruce, what do you think we're going to talk about next time on the pod?
I think we're going to talk about speed and agility in hockey on the next podcast.
Speed and agility in hockey on the next podcast. All right, guys, you heard it here. Thanks for joining us on the pod. If you enjoyed this, make sure to stay tuned and tune in for next time. Make sure to drop a like, follow, and a comment, and we'll see you next time. Thank you, guys.
See you next time.